Okay, y'all, we are live. I'm just gonna get going. Hang on, baby, okay? Okay, give me a minute. Go ahead. So first of all, I want to know something that you have either heard from your newbies that they've been struggling with, or something that you personally have been struggling with this week. So drop that in the chat. And I also just wanted to talk today about, because I know that it's so, especially now that we're bringing in so many new distributors, if you're not used to like enrolling a bunch of people at one time, like you have been with these codes, it can get overwhelming trying to work your own business and work like with your team, right? And to train them and to teach them how to do this. So I just wanted to share some things that have been working for really well for me. So number one, I've been asking my new distributors when they first join, are you someone who like needs things step by step? Do you want to go through a day by day, 10-day training process with me? Or would you rather me send you the full 10-day training up front and you can work on it on your own time? And I've had some people do the day by day, and I've had some people want the 10-day training up front, and then I'm just checking in with them and seeing how things are going, and they're sending me some screenshots or whatever. And that kind of puts the ball in their court as to number one, how they best like to learn. Hang on, baby. And number two, yeah. And number two, kind of taking that weight off of your shoulders, like that you have to remember to send them the day by day training, right? The other thing that you could do is like set reminders. If you forget to check in with your newbies, like it's on the KPI list, but if you don't use the KPI list, like literally set a reminder in your phone. And every morning when you wake up or whatever, after you've done your self-development, respond to all of your messages and check in with your newbies. Like that's what I always put as like provide team value, right? Like give them their daily task, see how their daily tasks are going, if they're doing them on their own, that kind of thing. But what I want to say first and foremost is like, if you are not working your own business, you can almost guarantee that your team is not either. And we talk about this all the time. So you have to lead from the front. And what that looks like is doing your daily tasks, making sure that your business stuff is done, like point blank, period. So if someone is like blowing you up, unless they have a customer on their site right now and you're sending your messages, like let them sit there for a second and complete your stuff. The other thing that I would highly suggest doing, and I talked about this a little bit too, is like set working hours and make sure that your team knows that. And you don't have to do this. Like if you are totally available all the time and are okay with your team coming to you whenever, then that's totally fine too. But if you're like someone who needs you time, just know and tell your newbies, you can send me a message or whatever, but I might not respond to you until the morning because I clock out and I turn my phone off at 9. What this does, it's excuse me, is shows your newbies that they don't have to be on their phone and they don't have to be available and responding to messages 24/7. So it kind of sets the preface of like, okay, she's a real person. She's taken off at 9 or whatever to go spend time with her spouse or whatever you guys do. And I can do that too, right? And then that also allows them to be more intentional, knowing that like, okay, this is what time I'm going to stop working tonight. And again, like obviously if someone's like ready to order right now, it's a little bit different. But if that's something that you struggle with, I would definitely have some sort of time frame. Like I'm not going to respond before 6 a.m. and I'm not going to respond after 9 p.m. or whatever it is. Same thing kind of goes for Sabbath. Like on my Sabbath days, I still post and put stuff up on my story, and I'm still working with my team. I'm just not necessarily like growing my network or sending new messages that day. So that's kind of like what my Sabbath looks like, but I never like fully take a day off. Like I'm still present, but I'm just not like giving 100% like I am throughout the week, so that I know, and I've had to learn this like throughout my business too, is like giving myself time to rest, because that's where burnout comes into play. And you don't want to get burnt out. You don't want to feel uninspired. You don't want to feel like not motivated, right? So make sure that you're taking your time, whether it be at night or with a Sabbath day or whatever works for you, to take the time to like chill out. I'm mainly struggling getting back in the groove of my daily schedule on top of work and biz. Setting alarms and timers is helping. Yeah, alarms and timers like will be your best friend. And honestly, you just have to like pick a motto. Like if your motto is do what you can when you can, and then just sticking to that. So if you have a 5-minute break, like go interact or send a couple messages or whatever it is, like you would be so surprised at what you can accomplish throughout the day if you just are intentional and do it. Like you'll look back at the end of the day and be like, wow, I've already sent 100 messages. Like if you break it down, like I used to, and I'm always like switching up how I do my 6 list, but um I used to like break things up into block increments. So like block 1, block 2, block 3. So when I was working, that looked like before work, on my lunch, and after work, right? But essentially I would just send 20 to 40 messages each time, grow my network, interact for just different chunks. And by the end of the day, I had sent well over 100 messages, right? And done all of my different things. So either set timers or reminders for yourself, or there's even like the app focus tracker. And I have been encouraging my newbies to download that. And instead of giving them like a specific number of messages to send every day, I'm like, okay, when you're going to sit down and send messages, turn this on for 5 minutes and just send as many as you can in this 5-minute period. And it takes the pressure off of like having to send 100 or having to send 50 or whatever it is in that sitting, like, and showing them how to work in small increments, right? Or okay, when you have 5 minutes, set your focus tracker and you're going to interact, like just whenever you can. And then when the timer goes up, you know that you're done with that task, right? So honestly, if you're feeling overwhelmed between your team and your personal business, you just need to get refocused. And I know that it sounds easier than maybe it is, but try to regroup, see where your attention is going, and like maybe just take a day to like evaluate what you're doing. So like write down everything that you're doing, whether it's watching TV, whether it's taking a shower, responding to messages, like just keep track of everything for a day and be like, okay, this is where my falter is, or maybe this is where I'm doing a really good job or whatever. And then you can just kind of evaluate and look at what you're doing and see where you need to improve or make changes or what's working really well for you. And I do that often. Like I do self check-ins all the time, like with what's working with my 6 list, what's not working. And a lot of that comes with me just like literally taking a day and living my life how I normally do, and then being like, okay, this is what I need to do. So try not to just like get so lost. I think we get paralyzed in this overwhelmed state and we just like don't move. We don't know what to do. Well, the first step is just like taking the next step. So what is one thing that I can do right now that will help lower my stress level, or that will make me feel accomplished, or that will make me feel proud of myself, right? A lot of this comes too from like just building good daily habits. So sticking to a time that you wake up, if that's what works for you. Like for me, I am not good with an alarm clock, and part of the luxury of the fact that I don't have a job anymore is I don't have to set an alarm clock. So that's not something that I worried about. But maybe it's something for me, for example, of like, yeah, quiet guys. Like every morning, and Abby kind of got me in the habit of this when she was here, is like every morning now I come downstairs and the very first thing that I do is turn on a podcast or an audiobook or something, and I'll do my dishes. And if I get my dishes and take the garbages out and recycling, I feel so accomplished that when I go to sit down and work, I know that some of the housework has already been done. And so I'm not just like sitting there stressing out about it, right? So that's something that works for me. That's one of, just for an example, one of my daily habits that I've been implementing. So it doesn't necessarily need to be that you wake up at 5 a.m. and you do your workout and you do this or do that. Just pick little things that you can do every single day that's going to make you feel like accomplished. Making your bed is another really good example. Like if you make your bed when you first wake up, there's something actually scientific to that, to where if you start your day with something productive around the house like that, you're going to be more productive throughout the day. And that is going to help you stay on track with not only your 6 list, but sticking to like training your newbies and everything. Nat said, honestly, just start with one message. One message turns into two, and so on and so forth. Or ask someone to message with you. Yeah, totally. We're all here like for each other, and y'all, I don't feel like sending messages all the time. I don't feel like growing my network all the time. Hell, I don't feel like doing anything on my 6 list 90% of the time, but I love having the conversations, and I love working with other people, right? You're not always going to feel motivated. You're not always going to feel inspired, but I always remember what Amber Erickson said to me when she was like, you don't need motivation, you need self-discipline. And ultimately, that's just what it comes down to, is being disciplined and intentional with not only like your daily tasks, but like every area of your life, right? How you do one thing is how you do everything. Like we hear that so often, right? So I hope that that helped. Honestly, y'all, I didn't have like a ton to say on that, but I just wanted to check in with you guys and see how you're feeling, and make sure that you are, just like as a couple little reminders, telling, like personally texting your newbies. Like I texted all my newbies and we're like, oh my gosh, did you see the bonuses that were announced? Some of them said yes, some of them said no. And I'm like, okay, which one do you want to go for? And let's game plan together. Like, AKA getting their charts out, making sure that they know and understand how to do their KPIs. Like what are you struggling with? Do you need help creating a schedule so that you can stick to this, or whatever? Really narrowing down their why and what is that bonus going to do for them, you know? So make sure that you're personally texting your newbies to figure out what they want to go for. Make sure you're reaching out to your loyal customers about the new skinny tea. You'd be surprised how much volume you can bring in just by current customers. And then obviously it's past the 25th, so make sure that you're going through credit card declines. And I guess we don't have perk points anymore, but still going through and just checking all of your bases and making sure that you're updating your chart. If you need help with your chart at all, like please, 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 please text me. Or if you don't know how to do credit card declines, or your team doesn't know how, there's literally so much in the team page, y'all, if you just search for it. So tag your newbies in that. Be like, make sure you check these, or not even just your newbies, because obviously they wouldn't have like declines probably, but your seasoned distributors or whatever. And just know that if you don't have anyone working on your team, be that person first and foremost, and you absolutely will attract people if you just continue doing that, right? So I love you guys. I know that this was short, sweet, and to the point, but I hope it helped, and I love you. Happy Saturday, and we'll check in on Tuesday.